Look, I'm just going to say it for the get-go. Don't shoot the messenger. This week is going to be tedious. It's going to be the same. It's going to be more of what we're used to in this transfer window. It's Monday afternoon once more. And there's no point in me using the same sayings that I've used for the last 2 months. We might hear something this week. We might not hear something this week. I'm only here to deliver the news and give my opinion. So don't blame me. I'm trying my best here. I'm as impatient as you are. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and it's nice to see you. Welcome in, hit like, hit subscribe. We've got another big week at the club as we continue on with our perfect start to the league campaign. However, the League Cup starts on Friday, so we'll be building towards that game against Falkirk, hopefully with plenty of transfer news in between then. However, a couple of targets have got away from Celtic. We need to talk about that amongst a few other things. Bear with me, it's more of an update video than anything to start off the week. So Celtic made it 2 out of 2 when it comes to wins yesterday at Pittodrie. A 2-0 win at a difficult venue makes it a 100% start to the season. No goals conceded as of yet either. It looks okay. However, the one thing we all took away from yesterday's game is that we still desperately need attacking options. We need reinforcement in that front line, and we need it sooner rather than later. And Brendan Rodgers, who also is tired of talking about transfers at this point, did chip in with his opinions after the game. So we're going to have a look at Brendan Rodgers' comments. As things stand right now, there is no news this morning. There are no rumours this morning linking us with any names. And it's going to be a case of waiting again. You're going to have to be patient. And I know that's hard. Trust me, I'm getting as bothered as you are. But that seems to be the case right now. Let's have a look at what the manager said following our win against Aberdeen. So Brendan Rodgers delivered quite a flat response to Sky Sports when asked about signings following the game yesterday. He said, look, I've got no news now at this very moment at where we're at, but our job between now and the end of the window is to make Celtic the very best that we possibly can. In the meantime, we'll continue to develop the players that are here and improve them. Of course, I want Celtic to live in the very best possible place that it can be, and for me, that'll be us signing more players at the top end of the pitch. But I can't magic them in here, and if they're not here, then we'll work with the players that are here and make them the very best that they can be. We know that we need to strengthen. We know where we want to live, and to be the best that we have to be, we have to. So basically just reiterating the point, right now there is nothing happening, it feels like. Brendan Rodgers saying he can't magic the players in. Once again, maybe a slight dig to the upper management at Celtic, the guys in the boardroom who do bring these players in. But right now, as things stand, Brendan Rodgers being forced to work with what he has. And I think the general response to this yesterday was frustration, as you would expect, and probably rightfully so. It is frustrating to hear the manager coming out and saying, look, listen, I've got no news and I can't magic players in. But one thing I will give credit to Brendan Rodgers for is his constant ability to improve players. And that's, I think, the thing that Brendan Rodgers has showed strength in the most. Both of his spells at Celtic, through both of his tenures here, he's developed players into better versions of themselves. But we can't rely on that to carry us through a full domestic campaign across 3 competitions, a European campaign, especially when we are so thin. So he has, reinforced the point that in the front line, that's where the focus lies right now. But we need to wake up. We need to get the job done. Brendan Rodgers has a say, and he's just as important behind the scenes at bringing these players in. And I know it's not his checks to write and his money to spend, but he's got to get on at this board to get the money spent soon, because Celtic fans are losing patience. A big European campaign that kickstarts in just over a week's time. Registration shuts at the end of this week, and it looks as though there'll be nobody through the door. So it's a very weird place right now. So aye, big week for Brendan Rodgers again, big week for Celtic again. It's starting to feel a bit like Groundhog Day, and it's not getting any easier for Celtic as targets seem to move on to other places. And even though Celtic might not still be interested in certain players, it's still a bit disheartening to see them go elsewhere while we're linked with no one. And I say that because reports this morning seem to confirm that Celtic's January target, Sondre Orjeseter, will be moving on this summer, but it won't be to Glasgow, it won't be to Celtic. In fact, it looks as though he's about to complete a move to Holland after Celtic reportedly had bids rejected in the January transfer window. Now, don't get me wrong, if Celtic aren't fully in on the player and they haven't bid for him this summer and he's not a genuine target anymore, this isn't the end of the world. However, I would rather be getting linked with Sondre Orjeseter, who is now open to the idea of a move, now moving away elsewhere, than being linked with nobody. That's where we stand right now. And yeah, it looks as though he's going away for a fee around the region of what we apparently bidded in January. So the question has to be asked, why suddenly aren't we interested anymore when we really need wingers here? Because reports that came out last night from Holland in a publication called The Telegraph printed headlines like this, that FC Twente wants to complete the biggest purchase for their side in over a decade as soon as possible. FC Twente's technical director Jan Struller has confirmed that they are busy strengthening the squad and they want to bring in Norwegian attacker Sondre Orjeseter. So the article went on to say that the Sarpsborg winger is the high quality attacking reinforcement that Struller hopes to boost the team with, and the deal is expected to be finalised in Norway shortly. After being linked with PSV earlier this summer, he carries a hefty price tag, and sources indicate a fee of around €5 million should be expected. This would make Orjeseter appear more expensive than previous signings since the club was relegated and brought back to the top flight in 2019. I was really liking the look of Sondre Orjeseter, and the fact that he's on the target, the watch list of clubs as big as PSV, I think backs up the fact that this is a talented lad, and I feel like this is somebody that's probably going to go to FC Twente and do quite well. Now, the story was that Celtic went forward with a bid in January, but Sondre Orjeseter wasn't keen on the move at the time. He didn't think he was ready at the time, but now it looks as though he's going to move for a fee of around €5 million, £4.5 million, which is allegedly in the region of what Celtic bidded back in January. So the question has to be asked, if we were interested in January and clubs in Europe are interested in the attacking player, the winger, who is very talented, why aren't Celtic still interested now? Why aren't we considering him when we are apparently struggling for a winger? It's not me saying that this lad is the answer and he is the player that Celtic need to sign, but the fact that it went so quiet this summer and apparently a bid hasn't even been considered by Celtic in the hunt for a winger has me just a little bit confused, and I feel like he's probably going to end up doing well at Twente and we're going to be looking at ourselves and going, why didn't we go back in? Now, let me play devil's advocate for a second, because I think it's very easy for me to question the board and criticise the board for not maybe going back in for him, but we don't know if that's the case, and also we don't know if Sondre Orjeseter is even that keen on a move to Celtic. So there's no point in me using my own hypothesis to say that Celtic would have definitely signed him. There's nothing to suggest that would have been the case, but I just think the fact that we haven't went back in is a bit weird when we need wingers, and I think it's all just a bit more frustrating when we're still waiting for a winger to be linked with a club. So yeah, it looks as though Sondre Orjeseter's moving on. Another winger that Celtic have targeted in recent months who won't be joining our side. And another player who won't be joining Celtic this month, as we all expected really, will be Lennon Miller, because he has been spotted flying to Italy for his Udinese medical. It seems that's going to happen. Stephen McGowan reported this exclusive yesterday, that Serie A side Udinese are pursuing their £4.5 million Lennon Miller transfer after an improved offer on top of the £2.5 million that they submitted in January. As of this morning, he's been spotted at Glasgow Airport, ready for his move and a medical with Udinese. So that whole saga, that whole conversation surrounding Lennon Miller can finally come to an end. In my opinion, this is maybe just my final words on the matter, this is a player I think Celtic should have spent £4.5 million on if it was the asking price. However, I think his mind was made up, his decision was made, and it wasn't Celtic. I don't think this is one that's through the fault of the club. If he really was willing to come here, I think we might have got this done. But there is no clear place for him in this current Celtic side. It's a really tough midfield to break into, and for the sake of his own career, he is 100% doing the right thing. He's taking the right move. So best of luck to the boy. And I don't think it'll be the end for him being linked with Celtic. I have a feeling it could pop up again in future. And I say that because if he goes away to Udinese and has a really good year, and Celtic maybe keep tabs on him, I think that we could be linked with him again. You know, depending on how good a year it is and who he gets the attention of. But Udinese aren't a club that I think are going to be looking to sell him for 30-40 million pounds. If he goes and has even a semi-decent year in Italy and shows that he could be first-team quality to Celtic, you know, you're talking about maybe being available for something between 10-15 million pounds next year, and that's something that Celtic could consider if push comes to shove. So, listen, never say never. Who knows, he might go over and tear it up to the level that Lewis Ferguson has, and then it will be completely pie in the sky for Celtic. But, you know, there's always the opportunity, there's always the possibility, especially if he is a Celtic supporter. So we'll see in future years. But for now, that's an end to the Lennon Miller saga. A couple of wee stories just to finish up on, and I would be rude not to address this because it's been all the talk on social media this morning. There has been rumours of Daisen Maeda leaving Celtic. That has kind of been the shockwaves rippling through Celtic Twitter this morning anyway, after this tweet was posted by an account in Japan. A tweet that said basically that Celtic are preparing for Daisen Maeda's departure and may move to acquire Vissel Kobe's Miyashiro. Now, we'll talk about Miyashiro in a moment, but of course the main bit of this tweet is that apparently Celtic are preparing for the departure of Daisen Maeda. There has been rumblings throughout the summer that clubs are interested in Maeda and that Celtic could lose Maeda, but it's the first time in a while we've heard anything as severe as this, that he could be leaving the club. Now, the account that posted it is one, I said once again, based in Japan with around 40,000 followers, that is a transfer rumour analyst and freelance writer in their own words, but I cannot speak to the reliability or credibility of this account. I'm not Japanese. I'm not a Japanese transfer expert. I don't live in the transfer rumour mill over in Japan. This could be a lot of nonsense, and see until there is more credible stories or articles written that back this up, I'm not going to lean into the conversation that Daisen Maeda is away, and nor should you. It's all well and good being weary and being nervous for something to drop. I'm not ruling out the possibility of Maeda leaving, but there are far too many people leaning into the fact that Maeda hasn't scored a couple of goals already this season and saying that that's him away, that his flight is booked, his ticket's off. We don't know yet. It's as simple as that. I know he's not looked his usual self in the first couple of games. I've said that in both my match reactions thus far. But that doesn't mean that Daisen Maeda is a guaranteed goner this summer. Just be patient. Wait and see if anything comes out. I've said this a million times and I'll reiterate it right now. Unless the transfer fee is something seismic that shatters every record or even just blows every sort of record out the water in Scotland, Celtic can't afford to let Daisen Maeda go. It's as simple as that. So it's all pinch of salt stuff. This is the player who's being linked as the Daisen Maeda replacement in that tweet, Taisei Miyashiro, currently playing at Vissel Kobe. But he's played the majority of his career as a centre forward. Yes, he has played on the left wing, but he's not predominantly a left winger. I don't think this would be a replacement that Celtic fans would accept, to be quite honest, for Daisen Maeda. He doesn't look a bad player, don't get me wrong. I think he actually looks quite good, if anything, but replacing Maeda is going to take a hell of a lot, and I just don't think it's Taisei Miyashiro, to be quite honest. So yeah, this is all just hearsay right now. It's rumours, and until you have more credible stories to work with, that's all it is rumours. And final wee story before we shut off for the afternoon. Michel-Ange Balikwisha scored yesterday for Antwerp in their win against OH Leuven in the Belgian Pro League. He has started the season off with a bang, and he's shown Celtic everything that he can be. Apparently had a very, very good game for them yesterday. I think it was a penalty that he scored for them, to be precise, but apparently outside of that had a cracking game. And we're hearing this whole situation that Celtic are apparently only going to move for him if we qualify for the Champions League. What a lot of baloney. Go and get him. Like, if he's there for 5 million, just go and spend the money, man. I don't care at this point. I just want him in the door. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. He did score. He's shown Celtic the exact kind of player he is and the quality he could offer to the front line. But for some reason, we're just waiting. Because that's what we do. Right, that does it for today. I know there was a hell of a lot to run through there, so I hope you could keep up. It was a sort of update video more than anything. We need links, and we need credible links. And we need them now, so hopefully, by the time I'm coming to you tomorrow, we might have that. But I wouldn't hold your breath. Until then, take care of yourself, keep the sanity, keep the faith, and I'll see you next time.